your friend Breeze's apartment where you killed him.
Did Kanan tell you that?
You killed your own friend Breeze. For some territory? To get ahead in the game?
Breeze was a bad dude. He was gonna get us all killed.
One of Power's biggest mysteries surrounds one character, Breeze. Why is he important to the storyline of not just Power, but also Raising Kanan? Is because he was the one who was said to have taught not only Kanan the game, but also a young Ghost and Tommy. So his influence was the catalyst behind the rise of Power Universe's most influential characters. We can also argue his influence continues to reverberate to this very day through Tariq St. Patrick, because Kanan, Ghost and Tommy, who were mentored by Breeze, they all went on to have a huge influence on Tariq's life. So in essence, Breeze's influence still lives on, just like we continue the legacy of our parents. Now in this breakdown, we're going to be taking a logical approach to who Breeze could be. So we're going to take a whole look at a whole host of scenarios and perspectives, where you can then come up with your own judgment based on the evidence, facts and findings. For those who believe Unique is Breeze, there's going to be a chapter for you where I run through some details that make the case for Unique. For those who don't believe Unique is Breeze, I'm also going to make that argument. And as always, I'm going to round off with my own personal thoughts and theories. But first, we're going to take a step back and run through everything we know about this character. What Ghost said about Breeze, what Tommy said, and also what Kanan said. So let's take it back to Power Season 1, Episode 1.
All the hustling, all the work, from working the corner for Breeze and Kanan, it brought us here.
From working the corners for Breeze and Kanan, Ghost and Tommy found themselves here in the big city, where they owned a successful nightclub in Club Truth, and various other businesses such as laundromats. From being in the street and drug game for many years, they built an empire. But as we've all learned, and as some have probably been through, the streets are pretty unforgiving. So behind Club Truth, behind the Tom Ford suits and fancy watches, there was a lot of betrayal, blood, and murders committed to get into this position. Ghost had a vision and a dream that he wanted to fulfill in memory of his father, Curtis St. Patrick, which was Club Truth. But later on in the story, we learn that both Breeze and Kanan were removed from Ghost's chessboard to allow him to move forward. Now, Breeze was someone who had a huge impact, and he wasn't just a mentor, he was also the one who gave James his nickname as Ghost.
We knew this guy Breeze when we were kids. He came up with Ghost. He said the kid had the ability to disappear. Never saw him coming, you never saw him leave.
Throughout Power, we saw how Ghost had the ability to appear and disappear. Poof. One moment you saw him and the next moment he was gone, because you never saw him coming and you never saw him leave. There's a reason why Ghost gave a young James St. Patrick the nickname of Ghost. Angela did a background check in Power and it came up with nothing. Ghost's record was squeaky clean, because that's just who James was. He was a ghost, and Breeze recognized that very early on. Now, when Kanan was released from prison, this is when we began to hear the story unfold around Breeze, in different conversations with various accounts.
Why you acting like you so surprised, man? You raised Roller. You wrote the blueprint for his moves, man. Why wouldn't you want to take out the boss? It's the same shit you did to Breeze.
Now, the problem with the story around Breeze is that we'll never know the full truth unless we actually see it on the screens for ourselves. Because on one hand, we had Kanan saying Ghost killed Breeze. On the other hand, we had Tommy who also said he was involved.
Same reason two former corner boys looked Breeze in the face and shot him in the fucking head. When you want that top spot, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it.
When you want that top spot, sometimes you have to take out the king to make way for a new one. Now, of course, again, we'll never know the full truth unless they do give us a story in Raising Kanan or another spin-off. It may even be the fact that Kanan believed it to be only Ghost, when in fact, it was both Ghost and Tommy who were the ones behind Breeze's demise. We can also make an argument to say that Kanan is a master manipulator, learning from one of the best liars in the game, his mother Rock. We also saw how he was manipulating the truth when it came to Tariq, at least when he first met him. And so his account, at least when he spoke to Tariq, may not have been the full truth.
Your pops knew the Breeze would be here at 7 o'clock, West Jeopardy. So Ghost came up after school, we broke in, and waited for him to come home and watch TV. Breeze didn't have time to get scared.
So this was Breeze's apartment, which is something we definitely haven't seen so far in Raising Kanan. Breeze was said to be strong, but he wasn't smart. He had the same routine, loved Alex Trebek, and he was always said to be watching Jeopardy. Now, Kanan wanted to give Ghost a history lesson by killing Tariq in the exact same apartment to send Ghost a message. But when Tariq spoke about how he hated his father for all his lies, they found common ground, with Kanan initially thinking he had the perfect weapon to hurt Ghost with. But eventually he began to actually care for Tariq, a caring side that Duke said don't ever lose, and his relationship with Tariq may also stem from the relationship he never actually had with Sean, a relationship that he probably feels Ghost stole from him when he put him in jail. And so Kanan doing it 10 years later with Tariq was quite poetic in a way. He also finally got revenge on Ghost when he convinced Tariq to get rid of his father, not just because he would never see it coming from Tariq, but also because he was in the way of his future, just like Breeze was said to be in the way of Ghost's future.
I killed Breeze because he got in the way of my future.
Throughout Power we had few conversations where Ghost told Tariq Breeze was a bad guy, and he was also going to get them killed. Now when Ghost killed Breeze, he was about Tariq's age, which was said to be around 17. He also said he loved Breeze, he loved him like a brother, but he killed him because he got in the way of his future. But what Kanan couldn't tell him was this.
What Kanan didn't know, what Kanan couldn't tell you, is that I gave Breeze one more chance. I asked him to change his mind. He didn't. So he forced my hand.
So what he couldn't tell Tariq was that he asked Breeze to change his mind. He gave him one last chance to change his mind about a particular situation. So this is where we have to mention the inconsistencies again when it comes to the stories around Breeze, or at least the unknowns. Kanan seems like he didn't know the full truth around what actually happened the night Ghost got rid of Breeze, or if he did, he was twisting the truth. There was also Kanan telling Tariq Breeze didn't have time to get scared, but that contradicts with Tommy's version and also Ghost's. So either Kanan was lying or there is a bit of inconsistency. There's also an element of mystery around what Ghost was asking him to change his mind about. But if Breeze was said to always have had a routine and a set way, very similar to Ronnie in a way who was always set in his way, you can't change their minds. People like Ronnie and Breeze, they're set in stone about what they want and they're never gonna change. Now whether we get all the answers we're looking for either in Raising Kanan or another spin-off, who knows, but here's my theory, which is something I have previously spoken about before. In the conversation between Uncle Gabe and Ghost, Uncle Gabe mentioned that he tried to tell his father to pay those drug dealers and not to go to the police.
That I tried to tell him not to talk to the police. That those kids were bad news.
But this reaction from Ghost spoke volumes. I do think Ghost knew more than he was letting on about the situation involving his father, especially because he was said to be on the streets working for Kanan and Breeze. Curtis St. Patrick was also said to be trying to pull Ghost away from the street life. So we only have to ask the question, who had the most to gain from getting rid of Ghost's father? It would have been Kanan and Breeze, because they would gain a loyal soldier in Ghost, who would then look up to them as mentors, and we only have to look at how much trust Ghost still had in Kanan back in power, even though he sent him to prison. In times of need, he turned to Kanan. We all heard about how he reached out to Kanan when it came to the Trenton beef, but he also turned to him when it came to the issues around his organization being hit by pink sneakers. He really did have huge trust in his former mentor, and Kanan saw this as an opportunity to exploit Ghost, not just to see if his former protege still had his trust, but also weaken him by having him take out one of his most loyal soldiers in Roller. We can also take this one step further by asking a similar question surrounding Breeze, who had the most to gain from Ghost killing Breeze. Again, the answer would be Kanan, because he would have been next in line to run the operation. So I don't think it's beyond reasonable doubt to say that Kanan and Breeze may have had a hand in getting rid of Ghost's father, and then Kanan manipulating Ghost into thinking it was a move made by Breeze. It also falls in line with why Ghost was so trusting in Kanan in power. So that's just my theory on how things could have played out with various chess moves being made and Kanan manipulating the situation to his advantage. But with that being said, that's the history of Breeze from what we know about him from power, some inconsistencies, and a logical theory based on some chess moves that we've seen before. So over to the theory of who many believe to be Breeze. Now I do know a lot of people are divided when it comes to believing whether Unique is Breeze. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I will be making an argument for and against, starting with the clues to suggest that Unique could potentially be Breeze. I'm then going to come to why he may not be Breeze, and then it's kind of up to you guys to make your own minds up whether you believe Unique is or isn't. So fans gotta understand that the Unique that they did know is dead, and this is totally a new version of this character. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people react to how Unique is now, because he's just not the same. He's not going to be the same in his head, in his mind, he's different. Now that's something Sasha Penn said post episode 10, where he said the Unique we know is now dead and he's going to be different. I'm also going to tie this into something Unique said back in season 2.
No matter, I ain't do it. I can't even put up a fucking lemonade stand on the block without them trying to put me.
Your name in the streets does have to hold weight, otherwise nobody will respect you. You won't be able to get that work or build your empire. And we also saw how difficult Unique did find it to rebuild, both in seasons 2 and 3. In season 2 he had a helping hand from Sal Baselli, but working out in New Jersey. In season 3, Quan mentioned that he found it difficult to make it work with distribution, which wasn't an issue for Rock. But for Unique, he couldn't get the pieces in place to get this up and running. Although I do feel like he wasn't given a fair crack at the whip. I don't think he was given that time to rebuild, because we all know he can be very calculated and a strategic player. So I do think it's important we make that point. But on Unique being dead, to law enforcement they didn't exactly care about his case because of who he was, a known drug dealer, with Detective Howard even saying they found bone fragments on a steel pipe, which meant he was good as gone. But the fact that Unique is now back, of course he is going to be different. He would have also been in recovery for a few months, so who knows what he remembers, who he remembers, and what he knows or thinks he knows. This is also where I do want to take it back to Power to another example that we can relate to. Ghost once thought that he got rid of Kanan, although they did make it pretty clear straight away that he did survive. But when he did return, let's not forget he did use a different name. He was Slim. And if we were to look at this logically, of course Unique ain't going to be the same character. He's definitely going to be different after being almost beaten to death. With Joey Badass even teasing he will be suffering some form of CTE, so there definitely will be a bit of a personality change with Unique. Now the last few points I do want to make for Unique potentially being Breeze is the fact that Sasha Penn did tease Breeze over a year ago on social media. He posted a picture of a plane that read Breeze with a caption #Raising Kanan. In other words, Breeze has landed. So whether he was teasing Unique to be Breeze, who knows? Whether the song choice at the end being Down with the King, the Cool Breeze remix, was a coincidence, again, who knows? They could even be sending us down the wrong direction. But that is the argument for Unique being Breeze. Now here's the argument against, which is where I'm also going to tie in my own personal opinion. I do agree that Unique is going to be different. It would be crazy to think that he wouldn't because of the beating that he did take. We saw him return dressed in all black with his hood up, looking really cold and dark, barely being able to open one of his eyes. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's returned as Breeze, or that he'll change his name to Breeze. The counter-argument to Kanan recreating himself as Slim is the fact that he only came back as Slim for Tariq. To everyone else he was still Kanan, and the same goes for Unique. Everyone on the streets knows him as Unique, and for those who have nicknames in the streets, once you've got one, it is pretty hard to shake or change it. And for me personally, I would find it a bit weird to call him Breeze after calling him Unique for 3 years. Another reason why they could be just sending us down the wrong direction, which I personally think is the biggest clue that tells us he isn't Breeze, is that Unique was actually supposed to be dead. Both Sasha Penn and Joey Badass confirmed he was actually supposed to be killed off in 305. They had the scripts written and everything, but because there was a change of mind, they kinda came together, had discussions which also included 50 Cent, and they decided to write Joey back in. And that actually meant that they had to kind of reconstruct the ending of season 3, with the biggest impact being on season 4. Because I would have assumed the storyline and script would have been written, or at least they would have at least set the direction for season 4 initially without Unique. So if they had intentions of actually closing Unique's story in 305, then they never had plans to make him Breeze. It's just logic. I also do feel when Breeze is introduced, whenever that may be, we'll definitely know Breeze is here. I mean, this is Power Universe's most anticipated characters, and when he does arrive, it definitely will break the internet. There is no way they miss an opportunity to kind of build up hype around introducing Breeze, because it will be the hot topic of every single social media platform. So I do feel like when Breeze is introduced, he will be introduced as Breeze. Unique is Unique, and Breeze will be Breeze. We also have to consider the fact Raising Kanan may even decide to take the story of Breeze in a different direction, or they may not even introduce him altogether. This stems from a lot of the inconsistencies that we spoke about before. So maybe if he is introduced, he's introduced in the very last moments of Raising Kanan to maybe set up a new spin-off, which would then be centered around a young Ghost, Tommy, Kanan, and Breeze. Especially because the deeper we get into Raising Kanan, it does seem like the story is heavily centered on a mother and son relationship, along with the rest of the Thomases, so I'm not too sure where Breeze would even fit in at this moment in time, especially with Rock still in the picture. I mean, once they're done with the Thomas family's chapter, then it does make sense to bring in Breeze along with a young Tommy and Ghost, because as they say, power never ends, and that is another spin-off I do think they could tap into. Now last but not least, there is a certain character that they're yet to introduce, and that's D-Wiz's brother. They mention him back in 102, with Rock and Lou giving each other this look as if to say, yeah, he's trouble. And to this day, we still only know him as D-Wiz's brother. We've never actually been given a name, just a brief description of what he's like, which was said to be wild. His mother also preferred it when he was locked up because at least she knew where to find him. So where is he, and could he be Breeze? Which has been my prediction for a while now, and despite Unique returning, I am still sticking to my original thought. But that's just my own personal opinion, so the floor is now yours. I've broken down the history of what we know about Breeze from Power, the arguments for and against, along with my own thoughts and theories. So drop all your thoughts and theories down below and let me know what you think. Not just about Unique potentially being Breeze, but also the history of what we know about Breeze, and did Breeze and Kanan have something to do with Ghost's father's death? Did Kanan manipulate Ghost into getting rid of Breeze to keep his hands clean? Drop all your comments down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.